It's really one of the most distinctive faces in the EV market in Australia. It's big, it's bold, and it gets the thumbs up from Mrs. Amazing. Make no mistake, the new Kia EV9 is an amazing EV. This thing's designed for a family of 5 and their gear, plus a dog. That much is clear. But it's not designed for us. Mrs. Amazing and I have got no children, live in an apartment, no prams, no surfboards, and just one cat. That doesn't mean we didn't love picking up the Kia EV9 last Friday, and thanks Kia Australia, chucking everything in the back, heading down the freeway, down the coast to beautiful Currong Beach, south of Sydney, because we did, and we've just loved it. But here amongst the 4x4s, fishing boats, stingrays and pelicans, looks like it's from another planet. Hi, I'm Roscoe, this is AmazingEV, and before we take a look at the Australian online configurator guide for the new Kia EV9, we thought we'd have a quick whip around and tell you what we liked and what we didn't like quite so much with this amazing new EV. The EV9 follows the really stylish EV6, which is really popular in the Australian market, featuring the top 10. And it precedes its new baby brothers, the EV3 and 4, which are coming out in the next year or so. Pretty smart of Kia to secure their EV naming prefix. We really love the ride. It feels like you're cruising along in a time capsule. Huge legroom, you can just fit everything in there, especially in the back with the seats forward. Secure and quiet cabin. It feels like you're enclosed in a cocoon. Overall, while it really impresses, it just felt like the inside was designed by a completely different team than the outside. Inside, it's all buttons and switches. We lost count at 50. Outside, it's beautiful styles and angles and incredible geometrical shapes which don't seem to fit together. Somehow there's a bit of a mismatch. One seems a bit of an advancement on a 2020 car, the other seems like it's come from 2030. We're at the top of the range, the GT line, and it's got all the bells and whistles, as you can imagine. We'll see the pricing and the specifications a bit later on in the configurator guide, but overall it is big, but it is lower than you might expect, and it's really easy to get in and out of. On the open road, just cruised along like nothing we've ever driven before. So smooth, so light the steering. If you needed to pass anything, even at 100 Ks, you just had it on tap, just like that. So much power. Inside, the GT line had some incredible tricks, some of which I really grew to love. The HUD or head-up display, that was the first time I'd ever used that, and found it surprisingly convenient. Got used to it really easily. Found yourself not having to look down at the speedo in front of you. The digital side mirrors could just be a gimmick. Certainly they haven't perfected them yet. You got used to those really easily. I didn't have any problems checking rearview mirror in the internal screens. And plus the rearview mirror is digital as well. It's a small screen in the shape of the rearview mirror. A bit disconcerting for the short-sighted because you can't quite focus on it. I noticed that I had to put my reading glasses on to actually get focus. And it does seem to be a little bit closer, but again, you get used to that quite quickly. Oh, and did we mention the Kia EV9 won the Drive Car of the Year for 2024? Not just the EV category, but outright. But let's take a look at the Australian online configurator guide for the Kia EV9. See what models are available, see what spec there is, and see what you get for your money. And here we are on the Kia Australia website, and it looks fantastic. Looks like you're going to have to be pretty cool, and you have to live in a pretty nice house to own a EV9. But all that trick, 7-seat SUV, and there it is, Drive Car of the Year 2024, overall winner. As we scroll down, we can view the brochure, book a test drive, and find a dealer, or build and price. Several models available, and here of course have the dealership model where you can check out all the details online, but ultimately you go into a dealership to actually buy the vehicle. You can book a test drive there. The strong silent type, unmatched in proportion, 7 seats. And jumping straight to the features, aerodynamics they're leading with hard to see, but amazingly it's got a drag coefficient of 0.28, which is quite remarkable given the look of its shape. It does look like it's really boxy. Sure, it's got some angles cut off, but 0.28 is an incredible achievement. Helped, of course, at the higher end models by these digital side mirrors. We found them easy and impressive, if not a bit of overkill, really. The integrated panoramic display, I found not as clear as it could have been. I should have searched harder for the black background. It suits me better to see for clarity with the black background, but it wasn't as intuitive as the best I've seen. But there's plenty of info there, but just maybe, in fact, probably too much info. premium relaxed seats. And again, these look nice, were very comfortable. Felt like you were really in a lounge seat, front passenger and the rear passengers. Fingerprint module, didn't see that when we were driving, but I imagine you can secure it by using a fingerprint and dynamic exterior. Well, that goes without saying. Striking LED geometric angular lights tastefully blended with a smooth sculpted body. Look, insinuating a powerful presence. There's no insinuation about it. It is a powerful presence. Everywhere we went, it attracted massive attention from its massive body and angular lines. So, from all angles. And we had the pebble grey, was a really stylish looking colour. And from most angles, it looked really stylish, very slick. Black wheels really set it off. Massive black 22-inch wheels really set it off. Some people just found it difficult to see the beauty in it. It grew on us. Not an immediate love at first sight, but it certainly grew on us. The angles fit together nicely. It is very geometric in the way it's cut off. Smooth but geometric. Some of the other colours I've seen, the ocean matte blue, stunning really as a matte finish. Black, of course, aurora black, flare red, iceberg green, something a bit more subtle. Panthera black I've seen, Panthera metal. That would be nice. I wouldn't mind seeing that because I'm pretty sure we had the pebble grey and of course snow white pearl. So really nice range of colours there. I've seen a black one and it looks like a beautiful limousine. It'd be perfect as a limousine style car in black. Our preference, the pebble grey. Yeah, and stepping into the car, sitting in the driver's seat, one of the things you noticed firstly, the augmented reality head-up display, digital side, which the augmented reality head-up display, or HUD, which we hadn't ever seen before. Got used to it really easy. Thought it might have been a bit of a nuisance, but handy for the navigation and handy just to see all the details. Almost renders the main speedo screen redundant. Digital side mirrors were a bit of a novelty too. Probably over the top and unnecessary. We had them on the G line, on the GT line, but you got used to them really quickly and clear and visible, easy to see. Just a bit obtrusive with a lot of stuff hanging on the front and the inside of the door for not a lot of space saving on the outside aerodynamically really. Fingerprint module we didn't get to use, integrated panoramic display, just a full big screen really. And the digital center mirror was a bit of a novelty. I had it stuck on a picture from a camera from the back of the car, which being a little bit short-sighted, you can't actually see clearly. Maybe there's an adjustment for that. Flick of a switch here and you return back to the traditional style mirror. But it was a novelty because I didn't realize how to disengage it, but got used to it pretty quickly. Just looked like they were a little bit close in the back. Cars behind you. Standout tech. Sound system was great. Wouldn't rave about it, but it was more than adequate. Hidden touch bar. This was a little bit fiddly. Some of these buttons on the dashboard. Dual color ambient mood lighting. I'm not a big fan of mood lighting. We didn't get to push that button and test that, so I was happy to do without that. Column style shift. So it has a on-off button first. Then you engage with the small twist of this column, drive, neutral, reversing. Push this button here for park. Not sure why it needed another on-off button there to actually turn the car on. A bit different from a few others. So, and sustainable materials. Comfortable, not overly plush, not super high-end on the GT line, but again, comfortable and plush. Overall, interior for us, probably a little bit too fiddly. We lost count, as I said, at probably over 50 buttons between the dashboard, the middle console, the doors, the ceiling, the lower console. So just it would take some time to get familiar with every single button and the steering wheel, not to mention as well. Just a little bit overkill in terms of the number of buttons coming from another type of car that doesn't have any Kia's got its own app now. You can enjoy that. And yeah, one of the benefits is just the enormous amount of room. Rear seat passengers have all the luck here. The sixth and seventh seats, only for kids really. You could push these seats forward and give them a little bit more room if you wanted to, but really it's these two seats here that are magnificent. The front passenger seat's got enormous amounts of room. There's just so much room, and more room than I've ever seen on any other vehicle by miles. Unwind, you can push all these back. There's a leg rest as well. You can push those front seats back, and there's a leg rest as well. Dual sunroofs, front and rear, heated and ventilated front seats. And they start massaging the driver after you're driving for a couple of hours as well. Suddenly you feel like you're sitting in one of those airport massage seats as it rolls up and down your back, and you can't stop it when you're driving. But again, it's there to stimulate you and remind you that you should be stimulated as a driver when you're driving longer distances, or perhaps you should be stopping, as it often reminds you, for a break as well. But it was probably unnecessary, and perhaps I could turn it off if I found out how. Independent rear air conditioning, so vents, second and third row of seats with their own aircon control as well. This remote park assist I wasn't able to test. It's on the key. It's a big white key. If we've got a photo of that, it's not the most practical of keys. It's buttons on the edge. The icons are hard to read, and you'll find this remote parking assist as a function there. I wouldn't even dream about testing it. Not on a borrowed car for a week, let alone my own car. Walk-in system. Once you get the hang of that, you can easily push that seat forward and jump in there. Again, a normal day-to-day, kids only, multiple charging points everywhere, USB points all over the place, rear boot, each row of seats, auto flush door handles. Again, a little bit tricky to operate, and they don't always come out all the time, especially from the passenger side. Maybe there's a trick to that. Luggage space, limited when those seats are up to a fairly frugal space of maybe 2 people's luggage. When the seats are down, it's enormous. You could fit, you live in there easily. You could put a mattress and stay there without any problem at all. Just so much presence on the road. Some people loved it, some people hated it, and it grew on us. Charging was easy. We charged a number of different charging spots, from public chargers, public type 2 chargers. We've got the big battery on this one, so it did take a while on a public charger at 50 kilowatt hours at the rate of, as you can see, that we had the GT line. It's got a 99 kilowatt hour battery. That's giving it we had over 550 kilometers of range when we picked it up full charge. So that's huge, right? And getting that back in there, you need fast charging. Overnight would be fine, but yeah, filling that up on trickle charge takes 40 odd hours. So that's really out of the question. You really need to be using DC chargers. Perhaps overnight at 11 kilowatt hour rate, you'd need 10 hours roughly. Well, you'd need probably 10 hours to fill it from go to woe. Overnight, normal home charging, that'd be okay. Type 2 charging, straightforward, easy, no problems. We did have an issue with a Tesla charger that was supposed to be compatible with all car types, but once we got down to our friends at Amp Charge in Pheasant's Nest, just outside Sydney, no problems there. And then we also had a lot of luck with an EV charger down at Canberra in the ACT, and downloaded that app quickly. Had almost nothing left in the tank, again close to shops, bars, restaurants and the lake, and so beautiful place to stop for 2 or 3 hours before we charged up and came back to Sydney. Within 2.5 hours we had enough to get us back to Sydney. 300 k's, no problem at all. It averaged about 40 kilowatt hours probably charging rate, but no problems. So charging on public chargers on the fly, not a problem at all. And V2L, of course, this is a beautiful iconic image of V2L. Someone sitting in the garden courtyard using their computer on an outdoor table plugged into their car. We know what you mean by V2L, but yeah, an unlikely scenario, but it amuses me to see that. And regen braking didn't see the regen braking effective, not as strong as others. I didn't investigate the rates you could change regen, but took the foot off the accelerator and the regen kicked in quite nicely. While I was at it, steering was very light, even compared to it. For a massive car, steering was very light, easy to just glide it around without any problem at all. Very easy to steer for a big car. SUV capability, EV power. So yeah, they tuned it for Australia, and it was smooth. It was incredibly smooth. It was luxuriously smooth. Just cruised along, not too firm, not too soft on the freeways. You were just, I've mentioned being in a bullet train and other EVs, but this is next level. You were totally enclosed, completely encapsulated, like a beautiful luxury train, just cruising down the highway. Set the cruise control, and it just did the job. And unbelievably, for passengers, just incredible experience. So they've got it right in terms of the ride and handling for Australia. Details about the structure, but who cares? It works really, really well. Noise and vibration, yeah, absolute minimum. We went up some potholes like they weren't even there. We've swallowed other cars. This was just incredible. And terrain mode, yeah, I'm not sure why you'd take it. We did go on some B roads, and it handled easily, just flew across them like it wasn't a problem. Absolutely, passengers absolutely isolated from anything outdoors, whether it be weather, road conditions, or anything else. So great job there, Kia. Protection from what matters, all the safety gear. We had it on lane, we had it on cruise control and distance control, with some lane control, which wasn't working all the time, but it beeped and carried on like every other car these days about anything that it seemed to come close to or appeared to be a threat to it. Overly so, sometimes it was just beeping and carrying on to the extent where you start to ignore it. So the three different EV9 models in Australia: the Air, the Earth, and the GT line. So we were lucky to have the all-wheel drive, two-motor GT line, top spec, big battery, working backwards, 500 kilometers range, easily, 21-inch alloys, digital side mirrors, augmented head-up display, digital center mirror, 14-speaker sound system, heated and ventilated outer seats. So that's all the gear that you could possibly load into this thing, and the look, a little bit different trim in the front detail there as well to make it a little bit more sporty in style. But that's a step up from the Earth in terms of specs. More range, again, mood lighting, bits and pieces, enough to get you by if you didn't need to spend the money on the GT line. And the base model Air, smaller battery, 76 kilowatt hour battery, less powerful engine, 444 kilometers range WLTP, and enough to keep you going. Haven't experienced driving that. Special wheels on the GT line differentiates the Earth and the Air, and they are nice. It looks cool, there's no doubt about it. As I said, down on the beach, it looked like it was from another planet. Kia have got their own service plans, and yeah, again, we won't go more into that. There's very little required overall in servicing, but indeed, there is some servicing. So here you can start to make it yours, and you can view the brochure there. We'll put a link to the brochure down in the description below. Request a test drive, that would take you through to one of the dealers, and find a dealer, and of course finance. That's the picture of the GT line there, side profile. And let's start building ours right now, just to see what you get and what it costs. Let's set our location first. We're in the state of New South Wales. We'll put in the generic postcode of Sydney 2000. Different states in Australia have different taxes and delivery charges. We call them stamp duties. So their prices in different states vary. The actual drive-away price varies in different states of Australia. Just have a quick look at the base model. Air, 97,000 base model. 107,198 drive away for the base model. So as a base model, and there are virtually no options on that vehicle, you get exactly what it is. If we chose the base model Air in red with black artificial leather, standard no cost option, complete the purchase. No options, just the color, $107,198.6 for the basic model Air. So what if you wanted to buy the GT line that we had? This blue matte paint used to be a higher cost option. Now it appears to be a no cost option, but they still got it separate there. So we'll hit the GT line, and immediately we see the retail price, $121,000 flat. Estimated on-road costs, $19,200.60 for driveway price of $140,200.60. Colors, fortunately, we had the pebble grey. Oh look, it is an extra $990 for pebble grey. So the flare red is the only no-cost paint option. Everything else is $990. We chose the pebble grey. That's the one we liked. That's what we had. Looked very impressive and very just stylish and super solid. Just talk about presence on the road. This one had everything. It is $141,551.95 for the Kia EV9 GT line, fully spec'd, fully loaded. Complete your purchase, you go to one of your local Kia dealers, and our local Kia dealer is here in Alexandria in Sydney. We've been down there, we know them down there. It's a great place to buy a Kia EV9 or EV6 GT line. They've got all the selection and they can help you down there with your choice. We'd highly recommend it. That wraps up our configurator guide of the Kia EV9. We've had a wonderful week with it, and thank Kia again. I'm Roscoe, and this has been Amazing EV.